May their souls rest in peace and forgotten. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thought leaders, decision makers, CXOs, well-wishers, volunteers, teachers and students. That's a pretty good mix we have over here. Let's put our hands together to everyone over here. Team E Vidya is excited to have each and single one of you here today to share the special occasion with us. In fact, your presence here shows how much you care about building a better nation for tomorrow. And the theme of this year's Rubaru is aptly set on the lines of Together We Scale. We'd like to extend our thanks to the sponsors of this event, LTI's One Step Initiative and Billion Lives. We also thank our media partner, Better India, digital partner, Flag Pebble, and the venue partner, Chancery Pavilion, and even coordinators, Field Blast. Before we start today's agenda, let's watch a quick recap of the previous editions of Rubaru. Can we have the video, please? Thank you guys. You know, the team has put up some mind-tweaking content for you today. The event spans across 4 segments. Firstly, we'll have our guest of honor share his thoughts on a national perspective. Then we'll have a panel discussing on a functional perspective, followed by the key event voice of Rubaru, where you will have panel members from different parts of the community, right, giving us their views. And then we'll move on to the celebrations and the networking dinner. Aren't you all excited? Yes. Great. So we will have Q&A sessions after each and every segment. So I request you all to party questions and wait for the questions call. Tradition and culture plays an important role in growth. So as our Vidya Loka champions fill the hall with a beautiful invocation song, we invite Mr. Samit Ghosh, Managing Director and CEO Jeevan Bank, Mr. G. Duraivel, Executive Vice President, Larsen Tour Infotech Limited, and the Vidya Loka trustees, Mr. Ravi and Mr. Rishi, to light the lamp.
Live it one. If you are working on it, live it will Earphone ಹಾಕೊಂಡು
Thank you, gentlemen. Ravichandran Venkataraman, founder, CEO, Allied Consulting and Smriti Academy, was an investment banker who moved into shared services and headed HP's Global Business Services before moving into education. He is the founder of Smriti Academy, a school in Bangalore, and a trustee of Vidyaloka. I would like to call upon Mr. Ravichandran to welcome the gathering.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you very much for being with us this evening. It's a wonderful gathering here. I'm much excited to be welcoming each one of you over here. This evening will be an eventful one for each one of us. I'm sure each one of us will carry home something that will be dear to us. The theme today is Together We Scale, which means the kind of work that eVidyaloka is doing needs a community approach. It needs each one of us to make this difference to ourselves. Anything that we are going to do is going to impact us. It's going to impact our children. It's going to impact the future generation. So what we decide today, what we pick up today, what we go back with today will be the seed that will make the difference to each one of us tomorrow. We need a shift from the thought that our spend, especially for corporates, where it is CSR, where we see it as spend, to investments. And that's what the panel will be today. I'm an accountant, so I don't like to see expenditure. I'd like to see it created as an asset. And that's how I would like the shift to happen in the mindset of people, where we create the future assets for this country. So what will happen is that with this, eVidyaloka will not remain an initiative, but will become a movement. With that, I welcome each one of you to this evening, and I thank you all for being here with us, and I'm sure we'll have a wonderful evening together. Thank you. Sorry, there was one more point I wanted to mention actually, which was the highlight of our year, which somehow didn't come in the earlier video. This year, we were singled out in the Self for Society initiative of the Prime Minister of India. So, the Prime Minister had called upon 10 companies to speak to them, and Cisco used eVidyaloka as the example, and actually had a good conversation. The volunteer over there, Nancy, had a wonderful conversation with the Prime Minister actually, and that was recorded. And the Prime Minister decided to put that up on his Twitter handle. So he pulled it up and he actually singled it out as one of the best initiatives from a Digital India initiative perspective. And he actually sent his office, the PMO office, sent his congratulatory message to the district collector? Yes, to the district collector of Jharkhand for having done this terrific initiative. So that got eVidyaloka onto a global stage, and I'm sure with this it will continue to remain in the global stage, and as I said, we will shift from being an initiative to a movement. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the warm welcome, Ravi. We have Mr. Duraivel Gopal here. Mr. Duraivel Gopal has over 27 years of experience in IT services. He is currently Executive Vice President and Global Business Head of Larsen & Toubro Infotech Limited. He's responsible for the IT infrastructure services in the cloud and digital space for LTI. Durai was part of global leadership team in delivery for Capgemini's cloud infra services, Tech Mahindra's infrastructure management services, and Wipro Technologies. He's passionate about coaching people and a keen learner through his wide global travel. Now I would like to invite Mr. Durai to share a few words on all this. Put your hands together, ladies and gentlemen.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen and children. It's been very glad to be part of this vibrant and eminent gathering. Why eminent is all of you spending more than a bit of your time outside your routine for a larger cause of society, so which makes me very overwhelmed to be part of this evening. So I'm debuting into this Ribaru, and I hope it's not going to stay this year and going to continue subsequent year as well. Okay, so I'm glad to take the time part of this event. I work for LTI for a living, part of a large L&T group. At L&T Group and LTI specifically, we focus on CSR through our one. At a company level, really focusing on three core areas on education, empowerment, and environment. We do this at an organization level and also at an employee level. So we have about excess of 5,300 people or CSR volunteers. That sounds like a big number. To me, it's a very significant size. It's about 20% of employee force are part of this. We're a small organization, 25,000 people, and IT numbers are quite large. So the 5,000 of us are part of this. I'm one of them. And through these initiatives, we've touched about 100,000 lives the last year, and I'm sure the number is going to be. This evening, key word is about education. And through this, through our organization, we are working through Vidya Loka and reaching out people. So particularly education is very important to improve quality of life and the overall improvement of himself and herself and society around the person. With very high dropouts in government schools, getting children back at school is extremely important and tougher task, I would say, compared to metro schools. We at LTI do a three-pronged approach. One through digital learning, a project that leverages technologies, data, network, internet, video conferencing. Through this, we connect schools in the remotest part of India to the passionate number of youngsters in the company, our volunteer teachers. Through this program, I'm glad to say we have touched about 75 schools across 5 states in India, and about 5,000 children have been benefited from this program. Okay, so good information to gather. And out of the 5,000 children, about 40% of them are girl children, which is even more encouraging. And when I was witnessing all the shortlisted programs outside, the first program was about why girls have been deprived. Okay, and I don't think it's no more. It's going to be a thing of the past. Okay, and while the two kids have been brave enough to bring this topic in public, and I want to really assure them, the people, uncles and aunties out here, okay, will make many more efforts to eradicate it. Other initiatives about experiential learning. We have introduced basic technology skills to people. Therefore, they learn at a very young age on technologies. That's other program what we initiated. Midday meals, you be hunger, I don't think it's going to work. The many times I traveled into Bangalore at 2 o'clock in the morning, went to the kitchen, made Maggie and eat myself. Because hunger does not give you sleep. Okay, how will I make you study? It's food. Okay, I think this is one more important program. We working with Akshay Patra and doing these schemes. And I did plan this evening the 3 billionth meal earlier this month. Okay, this is fantastic, and I think it's going to be billion every year and probably billion every month going forward, I suppose. Empowerment and other initiatives towards CSR, where we are empowering marginalized communities, specifically focusing on women and persons with disabilities. Okay, how we can equip them and have a very quality of life. And then number of projects underneath. And I've seen quite a few examples of people empower themselves and being a good in the society. Environment, it goes towards saying global warming. So I think we're seeing extreme summers, extreme winters worldwide, and global warming is an issue. And at LTI, our focus on environment is also very immense. We have programs covering green cover and also water harvesting. So when we visit our campus as guests, our clients comes in, we stop giving flower bouquets. Okay, we're not rude. Okay, we're not. We started giving them certificates. Okay, the certificate entitles plantation of 2 trees. Okay, and they can track it through the internet. Okay. So, which is 3 main focuses on education, empowerment, environment. And I also want to probably sum it up saying, through the EVDL program, we won a Green Award for this. Again, welcoming myself to this program and welcome all of you, and have a wonderful evening. Thank you.
Thank you for bringing up the note on the green certificates there. So EVDLOCA as well, from the past 2 Rubaru events, has been handing over green certificates to the chief guests and the guests of honor instead of a flower bouquet. So this is a green initiative which EVDLOCA is taking. We have a person who coined the term EVDLOCA, Professor V. Krishnamurthy. He was there for the past 2 Rubaru events. He couldn't make it today, but he has left a video message. So we'll see a short video message from him. About him, Professor V. Krishnamurthy, an MA of Madras University and a PhD of Annamalai University, is an ex-director of Birla Academy, New Delhi. Formerly, he was Deputy Director and Professor of Mathematics at Birla Institute of Technologies. His teaching prowess and administrative acumen are a folklore at BITS Pilani and all its alumni across the world. He has authored a number of books and research papers in the areas of linear algebra, functional analysis, and combinatorial mathematics, which has won international recognition. Let's watch it.
It is an annual pleasure for me to greet you all at the Embodied Life Gathering. Every year I am seeing participation by professionals, educationists and stalwarts from the universe of business. I can easily recognize where the inspiration as well as the motivation comes from for all of us gathered here. It is because of the amazing fact that for the first time in the history of India, and once for all of shortage of teachers for rural schools and the crores of children who are in rural India. This is an epoch-making achievement of EVDLOCA. I appreciate and congratulate all the 900 and all volunteers from more than 15 countries who are donating their time and energy to teach children across probably 150 villages all over India through the medium of space communication. As a participant in the field of education all my life, I am not aware of any education project or proposal of such large proportions. I wish EVDLOCA and its annual gathering of Rubaru more and more successes of such transfer of Vidya. That is why it is called Vidyaloka, Vidyaloka. Such transfer of Vidya from anywhere to anybody at any time in the years to come. Jai Saraswati Mata, Jai Hind.
Also, as we have gathered here today, there are hundreds of our patrons and well-wishers who are attending this event through a live stream. We send our gratitude to each one of them for their virtual presence. Before we could move on to the keynote address, I just wanted to check with you guys, how many of you know what Ruburu means? Not you guys, not you guys. So anyone from the audience? Yeah, gentleman over there.
You think it's a wordplay on rural, urban, RUEA?
Fantastic. Let's put our hands together for the gentleman. It's an anagram which brings in two words, rural and urban. And it also means coming face to face. Probably Urdu. It means coming face to face. Okay, so let's move on to the most awaited section, right? So I would like to ask and keynote speaker for the evening, Mr. Rees. Our other chief guest for the evening, Dr. Shalini Rajneesh IAS, couldn't be here because she had to attend an important meeting regarding the smart cities in Tumkur district, and she's back on her way. So she has conveyed her wishes and has made sure if she's reaching on time, she would drop in and be with us for a while. Mr. Ravi now would honor the guest of honor with a shawl. Thank you, Ravi. Our keynote speaker on the dais today will be sharing a national perspective on the broader needs of the nation. Mr. Samit Ghosh, Director and CEO, Ujjivan Bank, South Asia and the Middle East. He forsake the security of a salary-driven financial services in 2000 that will go on to empower India's semi-urban, urban, poor and in particular the women. Today, it has grown into a scheduled bank with around 11,000 employees and a customer base of 2.6 million. He has also served as the president of Microfinance Institutions Network and as the chairman of Association of Karnataka Microfinance Institutions. He was awarded as Social Impact Entrepreneur of the Year in 2015. I now request Mr. Samit's perspective on the economic influence on education and the scaling that is needed in India.
Good evening. It's a great honor, and it's a very tall order actually. I'm not an educationist. As you heard, I was a banker for 30 years. And then quite unlikely entrepreneur, you know, the entrepreneurs today are only under 30. But I started my entrepreneurial journey after 30 years of work. So that was in 2005. As you heard, we started with Jeevan and Sri Krishna. He is here. He was part of the initial team. We today have converted to a bank, to a small finance bank. And in fact, you know, your statistics is slightly out of date because today we serve about 4 million customers. And they are all women across 24 states. So what I'd like to do is share a little bit of my experience, you know, just as a lay person, because I'm not an educationist. So first thing, you know, few years ago, I was very keen to get a Saraswati, you know, sort of statue. So I was in Jaipur, and Jaipur, as you know, is very famous for these marble carved statues of gods and goddesses. And I went around the whole market, I couldn't find a Saraswati statue. There are plenty of Lakshmis, plenty of Ganeshas, and finally I bought one nice Nandi bull, and came back and felt very happy. And maybe, 6 months later I was in Odisha, where I finally found a very nice red stone Saraswati statue. So that actually sort of, to me, in what I learned from that experience is, our values, our expectations, because I think we have become very short term, we look only for, wealth and things like that. For us, Saraswati learning, etc., and what that does to a society is something which is not that popular today. The learnings I had, from working with women, poor women around in the rural areas, in the urban and semi-urban areas, what they told us is, very frankly, that they don't believe that they will get out of poverty in their lifetime. Okay? But they would like their children to get out of poverty in their lifetime. And the only way that they can get out of poverty is through education. So the poor people in India actually spend an enormous amount of their resources actually trying to put their kids through schools. Here in Bangalore, you will say, they'll always say, I want my children to go to a quote-unquote convent school, and so that is their biggest aspiration. And when we started microfinance, microfinance actually was only for, you could give loans only for productive purposes. That means, if to run a business, to do something which will be income generating, and anything else was considered unproductive. But when we talk to our customers here, and they said, look, I have to pay my kids' school fees for the year. I don't have that kind of money, So I need a loan. Maybe they go and ask their employers to give a temporary loan, this, that, often at home we may be facing that kind of a request. So I need a loan for that. So we actually, much against the current, or, of microfinance, started giving education loans for people, and initially we were sort of looked down upon because the people in the microfinance industry said, oh, this is consumption loan. I couldn't believe it, when you are giving a loan to a person who's investing in their children's education, and to be categorized that as a consumption is absolutely ridiculous. But, that was years ago. Now things have changed, and people, a lot of microfinance institutions support children's education through loans, through scholarships, etc. We have a foundation also, which is a sister organization, and through the foundation, we provide scholarship for children. And I'll give you one example which stands out, and it was probably 5-6 years ago. We went to give a scholarship in Krishnarajapuram, the state, to a lady who was was a single mother. Her livelihood was actually cleaning a public toilet, which was there. And she was educating 2 of her daughters through the engineering college. So just imagine, the talent which is there and the aspiration which is there is kind of incredible, and this kind of a story is right across the country. Yeah, now, there are a number of institutions also which have started which was not there earlier, which specialize in funding, schools, to fund schools, to build schools. There's an outstanding example here in Bangalore, an institution called Vartana, which funds schools all over, and these are basically not the most affluent schools. These are meant for poor or middle class schools around the country. So there's a lot of funding and things like that coming into promoting schools in India. I was just talking to Ravi, and Sri Krishna, that what frightens me when we compare ourselves with China is not the kind of economic development they have already made or the infrastructure they have built, but the kind of investment they have put in for their children's education, of the future generation. It is awesome actually, And if you look today at, the maths or science scores of kids around the world, the Chinese stand right on the top, Whereas we have fallen way, way behind. We don't even count, we don't even come anywhere close. And if you look at the best schools and universities, in India, when I was a kid, we had the top-notch schools and universities in India. Today, they don't count for, if you compare them around the world, we don't count for anything, So we've fallen so far behind, and that is a cause of a great concern. If you look at India itself, in my mind, developmental economists always say the states in South India are 10 years ahead of the states in the rest of the country. And in my mind, the biggest difference between South India and North India, or Eastern, is that the kind of investments in the states like Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, and Kerala have made in terms of educational institutions. You drive anywhere in the countryside today in Tamil Nadu or also in Karnataka, you'll find huge educational institutions, etc. And that is actually what's going to make a significant difference in the long run between, in terms of building up the human capital, which other states are not doing at all, And, I'm a Bengali, I come from Calcutta, so I've lived in Bangalore for 20 years. And to me, it is very sad because, my father's generation or even my generation, when we were in school and colleges, Bengal was one of the, highlight in terms of education, etc., quality of education, university. People who from around the country would go to Bengal to study, etc. Today, it's not true at all, So, from that perspective, I think South is way ahead, and I think they are investing in the future. That is actually going to pay off rich dividends in the long run. The problem which India will face, we have this young population, and there's always a talk about that population dividend. But if we are not able to educate the young in the right way, this is this is not going to be a population dividend, it's going to be a population curse, and technology, the way it is moving, a lot of these jobs which are mechanical, things like, here in the big cities, a lot of the people from, the poorer people, the job they aspire is to be an Uber driver or this or that, Those jobs are going to disappear, as technology moves ahead. So how are we going to give them sustainable living. And the present government, one of the promises they had is to provide employment to the youth in India. And there actually the government has miserably failed, not only because of their whatever they tried to, the kind of programs that they tried to put in place, but also because the way technology is moving to replace a lot of labor, especially in the factories, etc., which used to employ a lot of people. So this is going to be a huge challenge for us going ahead, in the future, both in terms of the quality of people we develop through our education, and second, from the perspective of what kind of employment or business are we going to provide them. I think this is going to be a huge challenge for us. However, what really stands out is that a lot of effort is now going in terms of very innovative ways of educating, providing education, and your program is one of them. It's amazing how you use technology to reach out and educate kids, in the villages and in the distant corners of India. So these kinds of things, like the program, which Baiju is probably for a very affluent segment of our community, the Khan Academy, which is there. Wipro, Azim Premji Foundation is also trying to develop, support schools around in the rural areas. So initiatives like this actually will help us overcome the challenges which I talked about in terms of providing quality education to the future population. And for that, I commend Ravi and the team here. And that's all about I have to say. If you have any questions, you're welcome to ask me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for setting up the tone for this evening. You have raised questions on how we are going to provide a sustainable future to the upcoming generation and the infrastructure. So today's event, the upcoming panel discussions, we are going to address, or we are going to bring in thoughts on how to address these questions. I would like to request Mr. Ravi to hand over a souvenir and a tree certificate as a token of our gratitude to Mr. Samit Ghosh. Put your hands together, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Ravi. We now move into the action. The second segment for the evening, where a panel consisting of members from various fields of expertise will discuss on the theme for this event. Together, we evolve. The panel's focus will be on understanding the social sector's view in India, the difference and the perceptions between investments, transactional spend, and demand spend. The shifting mindsets and approaches that are needed in today's societal needs, especially in developing rural education system. It's an honor to introduce to you the moderator of this panel. She's a known face to many. India's foremost editorial voice on real estate and urban development. She currently hosts the prime time debate show, Urban Reality, on CNBC TV 80, which focuses on cities and sustainability. A connect with viewers comes from a well-researched show, The Real Deal, which is the most definitive word on property trends in India. Ms. Manisha Natarajan, Group Editor, Network 18. Manisha learned the ropes of television television journalism at NDTV as a reporter for BBC World's Mardi Wise and India Business Report. She has anchored over 2,000 hours of live business news, including key events such as Union Budget, Economic Survey, Credit Policy, and Tax Roundtables with NDTV Profit. She is armed with an education in economics, journalism, and business administration. Let's put our hands together to Ms. Manisha Natarajan, ladies and gentlemen. Meanwhile, the arrangements are made. We have one of our well-wishers from Guntur, chess grandmaster Padma Shri Harika Drunavalli, who represented India in the World Chess Championship. She has a few words to share with us about education and what EBT Loka does. Can we have the video, please?
Education is a very important part for one's upbringing. I was born in Guntur, a rural part of Andhra Pradesh, and that is where I was receiving my primary education before chess took over, and that is what I focused on. For children between 10 and 14, who EBT Loka is primarily focused on, it is very important to have the right fundamentals in order to be able to pursue future goals, in whatever it may be. That's where having a high quality education is essential. And the digital classrooms give an opportunity to plenty of students in this country a chance to follow their dream, which they might not have had a few years back. I would like to take this opportunity to be able to congratulate the EBT Loka Trust and thousands of volunteers in the program. They are doing a fantastic job in promoting education, especially in rural parts, and realizing the need for building a rural-urban connect. Strengthening education standards across the country is one of the essential ways our country can be even further developed. Thank you and all the best in future.
Good evening, everyone. What can I say? It's an absolute honor and a privilege to be moderating this session. I'm going to be a little bit like fish out of water because this is a new area for me. Nothing in my resume matches up to the work which is getting done here. I'm curious to understand the topic. It was complicated, so we will keep it very, very simple. It's Together We Scale, and I would like to understand how we can scale up social initiatives so that they become a movement, as Ravi just said. Let me just call all my panelists one by one on stage. I'm going to start with Pranjal Jayachandra. He's the Associate VP L&T Infotech. A big round of applause for him. Our next panelist is Babu Rangaswamy. He's the Chairman and CEO of Electronic City Industries Association. Mr. R. Sri Krishna, his partner Unitas Ventures. Sridhar Venkat, CEO of Akshay Patra. And Mr. Ram Kumar, he's the trustee of EBT Loka. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me here. I was of course told that I must give each one's introduction, but I always, when somebody is introducing me, I kind of cringe a little bit inside. I feel that it's better to allow everyone to talk a little bit about themselves. So I am going to start with you, Mr. Babu. If I were to just ask you, and maybe we'll keep one mic there, yes. So if just a couple of lines about your day job and your passion, and if both of them are the same, then what were you doing before that?
Okay, I represent Electronic City Association Trust. I currently chair the trust. I've been with the Hewlett Packard family for over 2 decades, and I decided a few months back that I will focus full time on the social initiatives. So one of the roles I play is the chair for the trust, apart from some other activities which I do. So within the trust, we kind of adopted 20 plus schools in and around Electronic City. We formed this trust 20 years back, but the primary focus has been to get the infrastructure and the other aspects in terms of, we started with midday meals. I was just talking to Sridhar about that part, and then we went on with education interventions and like financial support, all of these. That's what I've been doing in the last few years.
Very interesting. Mr. Sri Krishna, I believe that you are going to bring in the investor viewpoint. I also like people who have a lot of money to give to good causes. So yes, a little bit about yourself.
Sure. I'm with a fund called Unitas Ventures. We invest in very early stage startups, education, employability. We also look at financial services. To your first question on day job and passion, it's both are the same. And I think it started really with microfinance. I was fortunate to be part of the founding team at Ujjivan. So I was employee number 7, and I think we're now at 11,000 employees. So it was back then. And I think what Ujjivan really left me with was it is possible to do good and do well at the same time. And I think that's a notion that's stayed on through everything that I've been doing.
Wow, that's such a simple statement. It's wow, fantastic. Pranjal, yes, we spoke a little bit, and of course you've also heard on what LTI is doing with CSR, but how do you marry your professional role with some good to feel good?
Good evening all. As you know, my name is Pranjal Jayachandra. I take care of the automation practice in L&T today, especially on the infra management services. Maybe to start with how the automation journey, again, to touch upon my passion. I started my career with the industrial automation, so obviously the very first love in the job goes with that. I am associated with automation from then, almost 20 plus years in various fields. Used to automate entire the factories like work for Telco, Tata Motors, Fiat and Ford. Later moved to IT. So now currently to talk about the hobbies, unfortunately after moving to IT, many of the hobbies are lost. I used to truck a lot. Now it is more of watching those trucks in the National Geo and those kind of channels. So overall I do have around 23 years of experience in the various fields of IT, but used to change the role every 18 months thanks to all my organization as well as my mentors and reporting managers.
You make us feel like absolute dinosaurs. We don't leave companies before 20 years. Mr. Sridhar Venkat, of course, first big round of applause. I just heard the Prime Minister was part of that 3 billionth meal which was served by Akshay Patra, but very curious to know, when did you combine your passion and your day job?
Thank you, Manisha. I am Sridhar Venkat, CEO of Akshay Patra Foundation. We are a strategic school meal program. We start with just 1,500 children in Bangalore 18 years back, and we feed currently about 1.76 million children every day. 15,000 government schools across the country in 12 states and 43 locations. I used to be with corporates earlier like Philips, ABB, WebEx, Cisco, and about 13 years back, the chairman of Akshay Patra, who happens to be a monk, was educated from IIT Mumbai but is a monk. He asked me, Sridhar, why are you building empires for others? Build for these children. So that made me quit my career, the peak of my career, and it has been a fantastic journey. Especially when you see smiling children who have done very well in education. And I'm very passionate about spirituality, which also runs in Akshay Patra. And I also love nature. And one of my passions is also to develop people. Leadership development is one thing which can transform India.
Thank you so much for that introduction. Mr. Ram Kumar, of course, trustee of Vidyaloka. I had to go back and tell my father Bits Pilates are doing such an amazing job, but go ahead.
Thank you for mentioning my alma mater. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ram Kumar.
It's a privilege to be here again with such august audience. In fact, it's such a privilege to be sitting stood next to someone who is providing food for the stomach while E.V. Tiloka is providing food for thought, as I can call it. I think it's interesting to be here. My profile, my day job is that of a management consultant. I like to call myself as a change agent both in my day job and my passion and what I'm doing here at E.V. Tiloka, because ultimately when we scale together, each one of us play a role of being an agent in the change that we want to see, and I guess that's how I would like to introduce myself.
Thank you very much. Before I start, just a disclaimer, I know nothing about this topic. So I will ask very dumb and low common denominator questions because I need to understand, and hopefully we will open the floor for all of you to ask the intelligent questions. Rural Urban Connect. Just a little short story before I start. So, I come from a very small village, belong to a very tiny village in Bundelkhand, which is one of the poorest districts of India. What shocked me a couple of years ago when I visited was that there was really no young person left in the village. There were children, and rest of them had moved to cities. So the topic Rural Urban Connect is something which, when I heard about, I was like, so much to be done, so much to be thought through, so much impact to be made. How do we get there is the big question. So that's the answer I need from my panelists. I'm going to start with you, Mr. Venkat, because Akshaya Patra has managed to scale, right? In typical business terms, you need many things to scale. You need capital, you need human resources, you need a vision, you need leadership, etc., etc. Is it the same for a social cause, social sector, or are there? Give us a little bit of your experience and how did you do it?
Just quickly tell you about the scaling up journey of Akshaya Patra. We took about 12 years to reach the first billion meal, 4 years to reach the second billion meal, and 2.5 years to reach the third billion meal. So coming back to how this has been accomplished, let me tell you, in terms of work-wise, there is no difference the way a corporate works and the way Akshaya Patra works. So all the elements of the corporate are there in Akshaya Patra. The one thing that adds up in Akshaya Patra is the missionary spirit of wanting to transform, wanting to see a world which is happy, children who are free from anxiety, who have freedom from hunger. Okay? The passion and the missionary spirit is one differentiating factor. What I've learned in all this 13, 14 years of being in Akshaya Patra is focus is key to scaling up. So we had many opportunities to get into many other areas, but we said no, let's stay put on only one thing which we know well. So focus has been one of the important aspects of Akshaya Patra. All the 6,200 employees across the country, they ensure that 1.7 million children are fed every day after day for all schooling days. So focus is one of the key aspects. Second is simplicity is key to scaling up. So if you can keep your whole process and system simple, though we adopt a lot of corporate ways of doing things, we have kept things very simple. And third thing that is key to scaling up is collaboration. We saw the headline, Together We Scale Up. One of the key reasons for Akshaya Patra to scale up is partnering with the government. Generally, people are wary of partnering with the government, but we have had excellent experience of partnering with the government. One of the main reasons for Akshaya Patra is collaboration with the government. So let me give you some maths. Like for every rupee the government puts in, we raise about a rupee from philanthropists, individuals, and foundations, and we bring about a rupee through operation. So there is a 3 times multiplier. Okay? So this is the fourth part, and quality of talent is equally important in the social sector as much as it's important in the corporate sector. So it's very wrong to assume that people will come. If you pay peanuts, you'll get monkeys. Okay? So
it works everywhere. The same.
Maybe some adjustment people do, but if someone is coming only for money, it will not be the case. But money does play a role. Okay? And as far as challenges go, you see, we deal with perishable commodity. Right? Typically, a kitchen which has meal capacity handles about 7 tons of grains, 5 tons of vegetables, 5 tons of dairy every day, 5 tons of pulses, and get enough cooked food. So ensuring that food is tasty, hot, nutritious for the child is one of the challenges. Last mile is not in our control, so that's the challenge. And ensuring that you deliver it on time is the challenge. And last but not the least, and which applies to social sectors, for us growth is not the challenge, sustainably growing. So sustainable growth, I think if you're able to get it right, and along with that, if you're able to build a values-based organization, I think you have a winning formula for scaling up.
That's absolutely implementable, tips for scaling up. Mr. Ramaswamy, just give us your experience, because when we were speaking on the table, you've partnered with Akshay Patra and of course also running some schools. How do you bridge between the corporates and get the capital together for doing all the good work? I mean, and is it as simple as people see a good cause and therefore they want to help out, they want to work with you, or do you have to work much harder? How do you take that number from 100 to 4,500 like you just said?
So one element is this trust, as you just read, it's more like an aggregator in a way, right? So we stand between the corporates and the recipients, and we see that how we can really make it better. One thing we do is we keep it transparent and also keep the cost extremely low, right? So everything comes from the night job aspect. So I would say administrative cost less than 5%. One. The second is the transparency. We take it back to the corporate, which is willing to support, and they see the kind of brand that we created. Oh, if you are doing it, I'm happy to give the money, whether it is creation of infrastructure or doing the service.
So are corporates giving it willingly with some spirit, or are they doing it because they have to do 2% for CSR?
No.
So that's my big question.
They actually see the good work and they come forward. And they say, oh, you have done this also, next time I would like to support you, whether it is infrastructure or services. That's what
transparency is the key.
Yeah.
All right. Let me come to the investor question, because this is, I keep hearing about impact investing, and there's so many words that are, bandied about. But the big thing is, does the sector get enough money? Is there really an investor who's not looking at any return, or are they looking at some sort of return in the long term? How do the organizations like eVidyaloka step beyond just raising donations and funds and get investor interest to scale up?
Right, the very notion of the word is coming out of it. I think the way to look at it is there's not, I think, there's not all problems can be solved through an investment approach. There's obviously the larger challenges that will need charity and will need donations to solve. But the notion that an impact investor like ourselves looks at is the fact that at a certain level there are problems which could be solved using market investable. And I'll give you an example. One of our earliest investors called Hippocampus, which runs kindergartens in villages. So it's the same quality of education that you would get in an urban setting. They do it at a price point of between 200 rupees per month per child. So it is fairly affordable. And they operate in villages where the population is as low as 5,000 people, going up to some of the semi-urban settings as well. Each kindergarten center will get to around 60 children at this fee point that I talked about. By the time they're at around 45 to 50 kids, the center gets to profitability. So it's possible to make, it's possible to get center level break even, and it's possible to make money. And they usually hire a high school graduate who's from the same village or a neighboring village. They train her to be a kindergarten teacher, and then she's running that kindergarten center with the help of an additional 2 teachers. They have now scaled to around 300 centers just in Karnataka alone, and they're now starting to get into schools, etc. So you've demonstrated this investor capital for something like this. Perhaps solved through a non-profit approach as well. But the thought process that the founder had was it perhaps is a better, a more scalable approach could be that if there is investor capital available, I could keep going on that mode as opposed to trying to raise only donor dollars. But a lot of these times, a lot of these opportunities require a hybrid approach. You will need to raise some level of donor dollars to de-risk certain aspects, and some things could be by investment. So there is capital available, but I think it's a choice that an entrepreneur makes on whether I choose to run this as a not-raised grant capital or I choose to a for-profit type of an entity. That come with raising investor capital is obviously we'll have to demonstrate a kind of scale because that's what ultimately, when the clock starts ticking when you raise investor capital, because the investor is investing to exit eventually in 5, 6, 10, whatever it is. In some ways, a lot of these are like building an infrastructure business. It's long gestation, so you're not investing because you think this is a Facebook and it's going to become a unicorn or any of those things. Those things don't exist. It's more about, it's like building infrastructure, and it requires long gestation. And I think that's where there's that element of what impact investors like ourselves typically are referred to as patient capital. You're willing to wait it out for, not the typical investment horizon, but say 7 or 8 years. And what we're trying to, you don't need to compromise on financial returns in order to create large. The jury is still out there. We've not proved it by any means. But the approach that is, the thought process that's prevalent is that this may not generate market rate returns, it may generate a lower return, but the investor is fine with that approach because that investor invested not only for the returns but really for scale impact. So there's not plenty of capital available for opportunities like this for impact investing, but there are people that have started off and it's starting to gain.
All right, I'll come back to you a little bit later. Pranjal, maybe 15-20 years ago, NGO was always, there was a certain typical specific image that you had in mind, right? If you worked for an NGO, you were a certain kind, you did social, you studied that subject, and you went in and you had a kurta, pajama and a jhola. But now with things which LTI is doing or other corporates are doing, they're giving all of us professionals a chance to do something, isn't it? And do it in wearing our suits. We don't have to wear kurta pajamas, most important. Wear whatever we want to wear. How does it feel, to be part of something like eVidyaloka, or to be able to contribute within the corporate to cause? Run me through the experience and your colleagues, and tell us how many more. And right now, I believe the number is 20%. How do you get to 100%?
Nice question. Before starting, you're absolutely right. When we see NGOs, we used to imagine the old journalistry. Even journalist means a bag hanging around this one with again same kurta pajama. NGOs, my view on NGO 20 years ago was the same. Maybe let me start with my own personal experience, which touches upon eVidyaloka later. See, 94 to 2000, that's a main era in the IT, the migration. So Y2K is one of the main issue, and we are all migrating from India to US kind of. Again, we all passed out, so our batch is also out in 95, 96. Most of my friends migrated, so very few, myself and few of us stayed back, even though I used to roam around to India, so settled in India. In 2004, everyone wanted to, there was an urge with all my friends and batchmates, we need to contribute to society. So that's why we are looking for an NGO and other things, but later we figured out, let us start on our own. So we are near Kanakpura, a small village, and all digital, since we are all from IT, we set it up, all the things needed, and we took a turn, even take it turn. So every quarter, one person is responsible to handle that. So it was running good. Then later we extended another village in somewhere between Asan and Sakleshpur, Devalkere, but we are not able to do beyond that society, but it was not in the structure. We are all like a singular, we were passion, but we have never went in a structured manner. So when I associated with eVidyaloka, I was very happy because there is a structured approach. There is a form to make sure that NGOs, how it runs and how it would be scalable. So that's where it started, and L&T Infotech is an organization, so everywhere, whatever we do, in fact, to give another example, when we started 8 years ago, we started with 5 schools. So now we are more than 75 covered, and thanks to, and of course the collaboration, the organization and the NGOs. Now the things have changed. As you said, rightly said, now we are in, most of us are thinking is different, our approach is different. So always we think it's not about spending, investing. Investing in the kids on the education, whereas in the future generation. It is not, we are not looking at it as a spending. So that's one of the reasons it's also adds to the scalable factor. And advantage. So whatever we have set it up in one, it could be. The second aspect is about our, since it is a volunteers, it's not about the forced manner, the passion drives. So volunteers definitely will improve the quality of teaching, model, whatever they lack to the society. These are all the things will to the scalability.
Ram, he brought up a very good point. He said, look, I mean, corporates and NGOs, just the LTI experience and eVidyaloka partnership has scaled up to 50 plus schools. I'm just thinking, I mean, you had every year about 25-30 that would be a huge initiative to a movement.
Absolutely.
Isn't it? So run us through what are the current challenges.
Thank you. That's a very interesting question, Monisha. In fact, we actually call, as Ravi mentioned, we don't call this as an initiative anymore. We really want to call it as a movement. And we used to call, our patrons as corporates as patrons. But what we really want to call them going forward is as springboards. Because what we are seeing them to do is to actually catapult this from what could actually be an initiative by an institution like eVidyaloka to what could actually be a national, owned by every single institution that actually wants to promote the cause of education, invest in the future. And what we are saying is, look, this is really what's Serbia, which constitutes 70% of the country in any case, and powering rural India for the next generation. So literally, it's an anagram of SPRING there. So we actually say, look, here is an opportunity for you to tomorrow's spring, as in this country, and create what we get. So what it means essentially is this: what could and I'm probably suited and booted to be, corporates to actually help contribute as it's changed significantly for two reasons. We really have about 300 in our country. Consider the number, ladies, and that's the number, which means, and consider even if 1% of the 300 go the wrong way, that's 3 million people. Don't underestimate the impact of what this can create, and in order to make sure this happens, it has to have scale, it has to have sustainability, as we just talked about, and it definitely cannot, that scale can't be done alone. And if I can quote Vishy's statement, it's not just together we scale, it's only together that we can scale. Yeah.
Okay, just some ideas in terms of how do you, so Digital India has done some fabulous things. I mean, just digital has enabled people to come closer dramatically. As we see from eVidyaloka and many other initiatives is quite positive. We still see such a large divide between urban and rural India. And today's topic is also how do we bring them closer. In the earlier Rubru events, I'm sure a lot of brainstorming has happened. But if I were to come to you, Sridhar, I mean, you have deep experience in terms of working with rural India, right? Beyond, of course, just the midday meal program for the school-going children. What do we do? I mean, it just seems that digital won't do it alone. It is a key ingredient to bring or bridge the divide, but you need to do much more.
I think the first and foremost thing to be done is if you're able to instill a sense of confidence in the people in the rural areas, and of course urban, and ability to. For example, I'll tell you, when we go to rural areas for Akshaya Patra, one of the common needs when we ask them, apart from meal, they want to learn English.
Yeah.
They still want to learn English. Right? So for example, there could be a collaboration between Akshaya Patra and eVidyaloka. We run a school in Jaipura. Right? So not from the mainland. Definitely eVidyaloka can help us there. So the collaboration. So I think if you're able to use technology with a human touch, I think that's the key. And the underlying thing is if you're able to confidence, because the solution, we have to just act as enablers. We have also seen in Akshaya Patra, wherever there is local leadership, that pilot has been successful. We are able to scale leaders, instill good confidence in them, give them for a long. See, impact takes a longer time. It's not 3 months, 6 months. We have to think for 20, 30. So it's a long-term activity. I put my money 6 months till I get back. It's not like that. And it needs really long-term effort. Long-term collaborative effort, local leadership. This I feel is one of the solutions.
All right. Everybody from a FMCG to a bike manufacturer, for them, rural India is a huge, huge market, right? I'm not so sure that even in the CSR portfolios of companies, I work for a business channel, their minds. I mean, maybe they make a difference, but do they get the fact that % of your population resides there and that's the area which needs the maximum support and inputs?
It's changing in the sense that just given the penetration of both the mobile phone and mobile, today you're able to access consumer segments both in rural India at lower economic spectrum at a far greater, it's just far easier and at a far lower cost. And I think that change we're seeing it, a lot of business models built on last mile distribution and last mile delivery into rural India, really hinging on the fact that today it's possible to authenticate, validate and access a consumer in a far more easier way than it was 5 years ago. So that shift is something that's but at the same time, and I think also what's happening is there's rising aspiration as well. I think that's a great phenomenon, simply because what it then does is that the manufacturers or the FMCG companies or the people that are providing products or services treat that rural consumer with the same level of or value or sophistication or finesse that they would with urban consumers as well, which is really important because I think that sometimes purchasing power sometimes tends to be far higher in rural in a lot of things than it is in India. So I think it's a combination of all of these factors that is coming together. I still think though it's not yet fully there. It's going to take still some time because and especially when you look at today, a lot of brands assume that Facebook or my customers are all online and I can spend money, and I think the only people that make money in that end up being the Facebooks and the Googles of the world, because you throw so much money at that to acquire those customers because you think they're online. But you're seeing a shift there as well because of one, and there is I think there is a high level of realization that it's possible to access these customers, and I need to figure out how I'm marketing to them and how I'm making sure that the products or services that I'm providing are relevant at the same time. But I still think we're some ways away.
Correct. Yeah. Rangaswamy, just